officially. Good morning and welcome to a little morning vinyasa flow. It's a new moon today, so we're going to stay in a kind of a lunar theme with our new moon, do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but kind of evoking some crescent shapes, some moon shapes, some lunar flows, which we're going to start lying down. So hopefully you have been awake for a little bit and this won't put you to sleep. But you could, if you wanted to, take a blanket or take 2 yoga blocks and put those underneath your upper back and support your head so that you can rest with a little bit of a shoulder opener, especially if you kind of slept on your shoulders a little funny or just feels like you would like to open up a little space around the top of the chest and kind of get the shoulder to go back into a neutral position. So if you'd like to join me there, I'm gonna take this blanket and I folded it into thirds. It's not a very tall shape. In this case, if I use blocks, it's quite high. And so it gives me a much more dramatic shape. This is gonna be really subtle, but it's nice. So the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the soles of my feet together and drop my knees open. So once I get my back positioned, so that this is supporting me, and you can have the blanket all the way down to the top of your sacrum. I like mine a little shy of that, just because it doesn't always match the curve of the sacrum just right. So then I'm gonna bring my feet together and drop my knees open. And you can do a little extra head support by creating a little fold or a little wrinkle in your blanket. Now, if I keep my arms close to my body here, then the effect is more subtle but deeper. So it'll get into the deep muscles that stabilize my shoulder. If I take my arms out wider and even reach out a little bit, then it'll be more in the chest muscles and a little bit, oh good, the sun's out. It'll be a little bit broader and maybe a little bit spicier. You might feel it a little bit more if your chest muscles are a little tight. So once you've gotten your body positioned in the way that you like, take really deep breaths. And reconnect with just this moment right here. Because I don't know if you guys have the same kind of minds, but my brain likes to race forward and plan things and make lists and do all that kind of thing. It has a lot to do. It likes to stay busy, my brain. And so just pausing in this moment right here and feeling the pose. And the breath. Pausing for whatever your furry coworkers are up to. And just noticing the world around you, the world within you. For a wee bit longer. Another 30 seconds or so here, just breathing. Take one more big breath. And then you can bring the knees together if you haven't already. For some reason that was too spicy and you already did. Cool, we're joining you. And then I like to do these little windshield wipers before I get off the blanket. And if you don't have a blanket, you're just laying on the floor, that's fine. You can just carry on with this bit. So just kind of noticing, and my feet are pretty wide. If I had a regular rectangular yoga mat, I'd probably be right on the edges or pretty close. So if that gives you some landmarks on your yoga mat. All right, so I'm gonna roll over to one side. I'm gonna slip this blanket out, and I'm not gonna need this again probably until the end. So I'm gonna toss it over there. Now, what I do like to feel before I go on is just what happened as a result of having done that. So you can pause and just notice the hips, notice your back, notice the shoulder, so that we're noticing where our practice is going, right? This is what makes it yoga practice and not just some weird Eastern calisthenics, is paying attention and noticing the kind of subtle places. There's actually a word for it. In Sanskrit, there's a couple of different words that kind of embrace this experience. And so what we're looking for is just kind of the moment where we feel something different. That moment where our whole attention is noticing something is a really significant moment. And, you know, like the word we often use is aha. It's an aha moment, right? Well, in Sanskrit, those terms aha actually have meaning. And it's kind of mimicking the inhale, exhale. It's a pulsation. It's a moment of awareness that happens again and again and again. And so embracing these moments of, oh, that feels good, or that's interesting, or one side feels different than the other, are really significant parts of our practice. It really helps tie us in, and it's the meditative aspect of our practice. Now, I'm going to take my left leg and bring it in, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a kind of shimmy here, a little rock the baby. With that said, and then you're going to decide, are you going to just hold your leg like this, or even just a little like looser, or does it feel okay to reach in here and grab your foot? So if you can reach in and grab your foot, go for that, or you can just hold on to the knee if that feels kind of crummy. And then we're going to take this right leg and straighten it out, and I'm going to press out through that leg. Now for me, that's all that's necessary to feel a little bit of a stretch happening right here on my right hip. And there's something happening over here on the left side as well. If this is not enough for you, you could take that blanket or block, if you had one of those, put it underneath your hip, and then elevate your hips a little bit. You'll get more sensation. I don't really need more sensation. I'm staying right here. So stretch through that right leg. This is our first lunge, cut upside down. And for people with really sore knees, this is a great way to get a lunge in, man. You don't even have to bother your knees. You know, when the pressure from the floor makes your knee a little tender. All right, so we're going to take 2 more breaths here. I'm reaching through this right leg, trying to open up and stretch out. Oh, good, now we're going to soften that whole thing up. I'm going to take my left leg on top of my right leg. I'm going to bring those knees in, and then I'm going to take a moment. Now, you can, again, hold on to the one leg or both legs. We're not staying here very long. But, so you can leave them a little loose. I'm just going to hold on to this ankle because it's convenient. Now I'm going to take my legs over to the right. So if I don't have room, I'm going to make a little room, or I'm going to scooch a little bit over. And then see if the legs will drop all the way to the floor. They may not. And then reach out through this left arm. We're going to stretch this left chest muscle and a little bit around this left outer hip. So I'm just going to pull a little bit with my core. I'm just twisting that hip a little more over to the right. Turning from the upper part of my back a little more to the left. Just giving myself this nice, long, twisty stretch. It's good. 2 more breaths, yogis. To the center. Oh. Release the legs. Again, you could go for this little windshield wiper. So this time, if you want, you could bring your knees into your chest and give yourself a little back massage that way. Those are good too. And then just pause. And again, we're going to notice, is there a difference in terms of the way my body feels? And then bring the right leg in. And again, you can just give this thing a little rock side to side first. A little rock your baby. And then you're deciding, like, should I hold on to my leg at the thigh? Does it feel okay to reach in here and grab this foot? And then we're going to take this left leg and reach it. I got block in my way. Hold on. Oh. Reach it out. And kind of feeling that again. So for me, this side's a little less spicy than the other side. but I still feel a stretch right there across the front of my hips. I don't need to go any further. But if you don't feel anything at all, you can prop yourself up a little high on a blanket or on a block, on a pillow, whatever you got handy. And that will create a little bit of a lift so that your leg drops further back and you'll get more of this. Now, this is just our first lunge. We're gonna do some more. So you don't have to go nuts right here. But you know, you can do that little extra. So we're gonna hold it steady, and I'm reaching through my left leg. We're gonna hold it steady for 2 more breaths. And then we're gonna release. Oh, bring that right leg up on top of the left one. You can hold on. Again, I'm just gonna hold the ankle because it's kind of convenient. Give myself a little back massage while I'm here. And then we're taking the legs over to the left. Now, again, they may not go all the way to the ground. That's okay. Then we're gonna reach this right arm out to the side. And I'm taking just from the center, right? So from those core muscles, I'm taking my hip that way, and I'm taking my shoulder that way. So I'm trying to work as best I can from the muscles in the center of my torso. So my obliques do this work, my lats help out with this work, and so we're using the muscles here in the trunk, right, in our torso, on the front, on the back, on the sides, to achieve the twist instead of relying all the way just on gravity. Gravity helps, but giving ourselves that kind of active twist instead of a passive one. We'll do a passive one later. So we're going to take 2 more breaths. And then we're going to peel this thing back to the center. Oh, and again, just pause for a second, put your feet on the floor. You can do a little windshield wipers for a moment. Oh. And then when you're ready, just pause and feel. And just notice, we've done both sides, is there a difference? And for me, there's definitely a difference. There's definitely a difference in this arm, because that's my tighter side. And so I'm feeling a little bit more life there, a little bit more, This feels nice. All right, yogis, we got one more thing to do while we're laying on our back. I've got to scooch all the way up to the top of my mat because I'm going to travel. Not intentionally, it just happens. All right, so we're going to bring the knees in. You're going to take your arms out like a T. You can put your palms down if that's helpful, or up. Just keep your upper arms kind of pressed into the floor. Now, put your knees so that they're right about over the top rim of your pelvis or right over your belly button, somewhere in that general vicinity. Take the legs over to one side. Now, if you've got tons of room, you can straighten both legs out or straighten just one. Or if you're like me and you're a little challenged with space, curl your knees up into your armpit. Come to the center, lift up. See if you can bring your knees into your chest. And then come back over to the left, bring it in. So we're going in, and in. Okay, just getting the abs, oh, nice and toasty warm. And just go from side to side. Always as you go up to the next side, we're going across at that belly button height, okay? So we're bringing it in, but going back where we came from. Bringing it in, going back where we came from. Bringing it in, you get the idea. So we're gonna do this 2 more times. Oh. All right, last round. All right, when you get to the middle, you do that final little push. Then we're gonna come up to all fours. Now you can rock yourself up. You can roll over to the side. That's up to you. If there's a sunbeam in my eyeball, if you care to, you can bring yourself up in whatever way makes sense. All right, now once you're up on all fours, we're gonna do a little bit of movement. Let's move the back around a little bit, side to side, up and down. We're gonna add on to this in a second, but sometimes it's nice just to check in. Take some big breaths. Now, we're going to see if we can make a circle. So we're going to start with the kind of belly toward the floor. You might even let the shoulders kind of drop a little bit and pick them back up a couple times. But kind of find a neutral, and then we're going to take the ribs out to the side, up around the back, out to the side, down around the bottom. So we're going to try to make a circle with the ribs as best we can given the circumstances. One more in that direction. Now we get back to that belly down forward position. We're going to go the other direction, out to that side, up and around, out to that side, up and around. And we're going to do it one more time. And we get back to this belly down position. We're going to take a child's pose. So take your knees out wide and kind of slide back. And we're going to do a little twist in just a second, but for now, just get back as far as your hips and knees will let you go and give it a little wobble. All right, now you can stay with this child's pose. You can bring your weight forward so that your hips wind up over your knees. We're going to take the right arm and thread it underneath the left arm and then sort of settle into that shape. You can press a little bit with this hand. You can reach this arm up like that. You can wrap this arm behind your back if you prefer. My preference is to do just a little bit of a push so I get a little bit more snuggle into that shoulder blade. Oh. Take one more big breath. Now we're going to come out of here. And we're going to pause for a moment and just give that arm a moment, okay? Now get your knees in, get your hand in so that you're kind of in an all-fours position. Take the left leg back, reach that right arm back out to the side and stretch between those 2 points. It's a little different than what we normally do, but reaching out to the side with the arm and back with the leg. Beautiful, then you're going to bring that left leg forward and we're going to come into a lunge. This is where I need the hair wrangler. All right, so we're going to move back and forth a little bit. So move forward until you feel something in your right hip, and then move backward until you feel something, a little inkling of something in your hamstrings on the left. So a little forward right hip, and then a little backward hamstrings on the left. And a little forward right hip, pause. Okay, so we're not going anywhere yet. We're just going to feel just this one again. So it's our second lunge, right? We did one upside down, and now a regular one. Good, so one more big breath. And then we're going to take the hip back and fold towards this front leg. And you might need to keep this knee bent because your hamstrings are not quite ready for this idea yet. So folding over, feeling this left side stretch out. Sometimes I'll bring the hips around or up. Feel how that changes things. Good, last breath here. And then we're going to take both hands to the inside. We're going to take that left leg up, give it a little shake. Bring it back, and we're coming back to that child's pose with a twist, okay? So again, if you want to stay a little further forward on your knees, you can. Taking the left arm, threading it underneath, coming on down. And again, you can use this arm either over your head. I like to go out to the diagonal a little bit, or you can wrap that arm behind you. Just, I like this little bit of a kind of a pushing back into the resistance of the floor, because it feels nice in my shoulder. And I don't want a lot of weight on my head, so be mindful of that. Kind of shift the weight towards your feet as needed. Oh. So we're going to take 2 more breaths. All right, so we're going to come on out of there. Give this arm a little bit of a shake. We're going to pull ourselves together. Right leg goes back, left arm goes out to the side. Reaching between those 2 points. Oh. It feels good. Just stretching out. Good, last breath. And we're gonna put the hand back down and bring the leg forward. So now we're back into our lunge. I'm just gonna ease forward and ease back a little. Just kind of feeling out this lunge. And you might need a little extra padding under your knee depending on the surface of your floor. Alrighty, and then we're going to ease our way into the lunge and just pause for a bit. And again, don't go too spicy yet, because this is like one of several lunges we're going to do. And so just giving yourself a chance to find the beginning of the sensation with this pose. Later we can go deeper if we want. So we're going to take one more breath, and then we're going to ease ourselves back to fold over this right leg. And again, maybe this knee stays bent because your hamstrings are not quite ready for that yet. Just feeling your way in here. One more big breath. And then we're going to ease our way back. We're going to take this right leg back and give it a little bit of a shake. And then bring it on back. And then one more little touchstone into child's pose, or you can stay with the all fours position. Just pause and feel. I like to do a little wobble because that feels nice. All right, yogis, we're going to come to downward dog. Now, there are people for whom downward dog is not an appropriate pose. And if that is the case for you, you can stay with all fours positions for any of the downward dogs. And those will give you, it's a little more awkward, but you'll get there. You might take a couple extra steps. If downward dog is appropriate and okay to do, put your hands about shoulder distance apart, spread out your fingers a bit, tuck your toes, and send your hips back. Now, we're going to take this first downward dog as just kind of a opportunity to move. So I like to move my shoulder blades, right? I hunch them up and bring them back and kind of wrap them into my armpits, hunch them up, bring them down, wrap them into my armpits. It's hard against the floor, right? It's not as big a movement as I would do without that resistance, but it feels really nice. And it helps me figure out, like, where does connected feel like? What does that feel like in my upper back? And then walk your heels up and down. Press them down, wiggle your hips, like whatever feels nice to you in this first downward dog. And then we're going to actually walk the hands back towards the feet. So widen your feet out a little. Walk your hands all the way back until you're on your feet. Now maybe you've got about as mat wide, or maybe not quite that wide, but we're going to just give ourselves like a little figure 8 with the hips and let the upper body hang out here. You can grab your elbows if you want. We're just kind of meandering. Oh, I like the way this feels in my glutes. Just kind of shifting from one side to the other. Oh. Now come back to the center, and we're going to pause for a moment and sort of ripple the back up so that it's level. And then bend your knees as much as you need to, fold into that, okay? Ripple up to the halfway point. Fold over. Last one. Ripple up to the halfway point, and then we're going to fold, and then we're coming all the way up to standing. Bend your knees a little bit and roll up as slow as you can. Get your pelvis into place, and then gently feel every vertebrae in your back come into its neutral position. And when you're all the way up, you can give yourself a little jiggle and bring your feet together. And then feel the surface of the mat under your feet. So, or the carpet or the floor, whatever you're using, right on. Whether it's a yoga mat or not, just feel the texture of what you're standing on. If you're on your deck, if you're out in the grass, feel the texture. And then we're gonna, almost like we're gliding, we're gonna take a walk up to the top of our mat. So just a little walking meditation. Try to feel the texture of the mat under your feet. Nice, steady glide. And when your toes find the top edge of your mat, that's where you stop. If you're not using a mat, just stop in what you think is about the right mat length and pause. And again, it's that kind of mindful movement is what we're looking for. We're looking to feel like all the little nuances of poses, of being present, of feeling movement in the body. So I have some things hanging around me, so I'm not going to sweep my arms out to the side. I'm going to go straight up the middle. But you guys can sweep out to the side if you've got a little bit more room. So we're going to elongate this pose. Bring the arms up. I'm going to take my left hand, grab that right wrist, give myself a little stretch over to my left. Oh, and then I'm coming back, picking up my right foot. I'm going to step back so that I'm nice and wide in a big wide star shape. And take a breath and extend into all that. And then we're going to take this into a squat. So you're going to sink in. You can put your hands on your thighs or do more fierce things with your arms. Then we're going to come back up to a straighter leg, turn the right toes to the right, left toes in a little bit so that we're in position for a triangle. Oh, take a big breath here. And then we're going to bring both hands to the floor and then spin so that you're on this back knee or that you're in a lunge on the back toes. Bring that left knee to the ground, send yourself forward, and this time bringing yourself into a bit more of a crescent shape with that lunge. Hands to the ground, we're going to step this thing back into down dog or all fours. And then we're going to come into a plank. Now, you can do a full plank, or you can come down and do a modified plank. And then we're going to lower down all the way to the ground. Come into cobra pose, hands a little on the wide side. And then we're going to roll the cobra. So we're looking out over the left shoulder, right shoulder rolls forward. Looking out over the right shoulder, left shoulder rolls forward. Come back to the center, lift as high as you can. Come on back down. And take yourself back to down dog. Oh. Bringing the legs to the center. Right leg goes up. Bring that knee in. Give it a hug. Stretch the leg back. Circle the ankle. And then we're going to step the right leg forward. Bring your left leg up to meet your right leg. Come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Good. Ripple up halfway. Exhale, fold. One more time. Ripple up halfway. Exhale, fold. And then we're going to come all the way up to standing. Again, taking your time. And then, oh, reaching up. Now if you need to move your phone, see, you can move your phone, but we're going to make another circle. So we're taking the arms up nice and big. You're going to grab that left wrist, give yourself a stretch over to the right. Oh, press down into your feet, big breath. Good, come on back. We're going to step this left foot out into the star. So we're opening back out. Oh, stretch into the edges. And then we're coming into the goddess. How deep a squat is right for you this morning? And then we're going to straighten the legs back out. Turn to the left toes now. Go straight forward. Right toes follow the hip. And coming into triangle on our opposite side. Oh, stretch into that. Take a breath. And then we're going to bring both hands to the ground. Spin up so I'm in a lunge. Bring that right knee to the floor. And coming back into a crescent. Arms come up. Oh, that feels good. And then we're going to come back and take it either to all fours or to downward dog. Oh. Taking it into plank. Taking the full plank or the modified plank and lowering it all the way down. Hands a little wide. Coming into cobra. Left shoulder forward, right shoulder back. Oh. Coming back. Right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. Coming back, big lift. Coming on down. Push it back, downward dog. Oh. Feet towards the center line, left leg goes up. Bring that knee in. Hug it in. Stretch it back, circle that ankle a few times. Step your left foot forward. And the right foot comes up to follow. And we're going to come up halfway. And fold. And come up halfway. And fold. Oh, one more time. Coming up halfway. Feel that ripple all the way through your spine. Fold and roll all the way up. Get a little bit of room right there. Oh, give it a stretch. Back to mountain pose. Now, feel the mat, and we're going to shift our weight, pardon me, into the left leg. And the right leg is going to come into a tree pose. So you can bring this down at your calf. It can be down at your little ankle joint. You can grab this foot, bring it up higher on your thigh. So you're just going to pick a tree that works. Draw the legs together, root down through this left leg. If you've got the room to extend your arms, extend your arms. Oh. And it might be a little wobbly. There might be a breeze in your forest. One more breath here. Then we're picking up that right leg, stepping back into the star. Big breath. Coming into the goddess, this time hands on the thighs. Then we're going to do that same shoulder thing we did with the cobra. Roll the right shoulder forward, left shoulder back, look over your left shoulder. Coming back to the center when you're ready. Opposite side, left shoulder forward, right shoulder back. Oh, look over that shoulder. Coming back to the center when you're ready. Give it a big stretch up. Turn in the toes, right toes towards the front. Left toes follow the hip triangle pose. This is so nice. Take a big breath. Now, we're going to bend the right knee. Reach out with the right hand. Tilt ourselves up into a half moon balance if we can. Big stretch. It's a new moon balance. Beautiful. Touch those toes to the ground. And then we're coming back to our lunge. So everything spins forward. Bring your left knee down. Coming into this right crescent lunge. Now this time we're going to add a mudra. So we're going to put the palms together. Lace all of the fingers except for the index fingers. Reach up and imagine yourself just kind of shooting your intentions out into this new moon space, right? Got brand new moon, brand new day, we can start again. Take a big breath. Release the arms. We're coming back to down dog or to all fours, as the case may be. So hold and steady, take a big breath. We're going to come into our plank. Full or modified, lower down. If you want to do an up dog here, you can. We're coming into cobra. Ooh. Right shoulder, left shoulder, and then back. So we'll all join up in down dog, whichever version of the vinyasa we choose. And then we're going to take a breath, bring those feet closer to the center line. Right leg goes up. Bring it in. Stretch it back, bend that knee, hook it over your back a little like a scorpion tail, circle the ankle. And then we're going to step that leg forward, bring the right or left one up to meet the right one. Come up halfway. Exhale, fold. And we're coming all the way up to standing. One big swoop. Oh. All right. So finding that mountain pose again. And shifting the weight into your right leg. Left leg comes into the tree. And again, choose your version of the tree. Just be mindful of your knee joint. A little below, a little above is generally going to be better. Oh, with the opposite foot. Good. This side's a little steadier for me. Maybe this is your wobbly side. One more breath. And then we're going to pick up this left leg, step it back into our star. Nice big breath, hold that shape. And then we're coming into our goddess. Left shoulder forward, right shoulder back. Oh, A little squeeze between the shoulder blades. Coming back to center. Right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. Little squeeze between the shoulder blades. Coming back to the center. And then we're going to come all the way up, turning the toes now. Left toes going forward, right toes follow for triangle pose. Oh. Take one more breath there. And then we're going to bend this knee, reach this hand out, come into our half moon balance, hopefully not knocking over any plants. People are small furry creatures. Reach into that, yogis. Oh, both hands down, stepping way back. And again, this is going to turn into our lunge. So when you're settled, you can take that right knee to the ground. Lace your fingers together. Now here's the thing, I have a habitual way of doing this, okay? So I'm going to switch it one finger. And my habitual way of doing my thumbs, I'm going to switch that one finger. And then reach up and come into the lunge. And just notice. And then again, we're going to come down, turn this into downward dog or to an all fours position, as is right for you. Oh, that's nice. And then we're going to do this vinyasa. Coming down, maybe coming into upward dog, maybe it's a cobra. Right shoulder, left shoulder, lift, and come on back. Okay, feet to the middle, left leg lifts. Bring that knee in. Bring it back, hook it over your back. Give it a little circles. Step that left leg forward. Right leg follows it. Halfway up. And then we're coming all the way up to standing. Maybe with a big flourish at the end there. Oh. And coming back to mountain pose. Feeling the body again. I love this kind of really almost vibrational aliveness that I feel in the middle of my practice. It's so nice. So we're going to shift all the way again to this left leg. And we're going to kind of start a chair. We're going to get deeper maybe. But picking this right leg up, it could just cross at the shin. Or maybe the ankle will come up on top of your left thigh. And then you can sink a little deeper into the chair. Now, I've never had a name for this pose. But some people call it temple dancer. So if you want to embrace that notion, you can. Oh, keep your heart lifting. Reach into that left foot so we've got good base. Nice. We're going to pick this right leg up and step it back into our star. Nice big stretch. This time we're going to turn the toes forward and wide angle forward bend. Now you can go deeper into this. You can bend your knees a little bit as your hamstrings dictate. You can walk your hands out and make it almost like a really big downward dog with all the weight in the legs, which is really nice. One more breath with your choice of those. And then we're going to come to our squat, knees out. Ooh. Ooh, trying to find the balance. And just see, like, will your body let you get kind of parallel with your thighs? The answer might be no. All right, so then we're going to straighten out the legs. We're coming around to our friend the triangle. Right toes go into the right. Left toes follow the left hip. Coming into triangle. This is our maybe last time with triangle today. Well, the other side, but probably that's going to be it today. So we'll explore it for a couple extra breaths here. Now, bring your hand to your hip, bend your knee. You might need a little more room to come into side angle pose here. So we're going to take this top arm, sweep it up, back, forward over the ear, up, back, and then we're going to come for this forward over the ear. Turn your arm in so your pinky finger points towards the floor. Give that a good stretch. Catch the balance, Candy. Last big breath. All right, now, again, we're going to come to our half moon. You can put your hand on your hip, reach out through this arm. It might take a couple of hops to get yourself into your half moon balance. And then if you can, reach back and grab your foot. If that's impossible, do this, just fake it. Bring your foot towards your hand, bring your hand towards your foot. Keep yourself lifting up, so I'm light on my fingertips here. Using the core for balance. Ooh, it's fun. Last breath. Release your foot, step all the way back. We're coming back to our crescent lunge one more time. So we're bringing this knee down. And this time we're gonna come into a lizard with this crescent lunge. So I'm on the diagonal here with both my hands. And I'm gonna ease my hips forward until it feels like that's good. And for me on this side, this might be plenty, right? Just stay right there on the hands. If you have yoga blocks nearby, you can try putting your elbows on a couple of yoga blocks. That feels pretty good. I'm not gonna go any lower personally, but you could also try seeing, like, can my elbows go to the floor? And we're just kind of letting the hips move into this lunge shape. Could be a little on the diagonal because of the change in the torso. Ooh. We got 2 breaths left. And then we're going to straighten out the front leg slowly and see. Oh, I'm going to come off these blocks. See if we can get this leg to go out straight while we're still hanging with this diagonal. So for me, this makes my inner hamstrings much more sensitive. On the other version of this pose that we did earlier, it was my outer hamstrings. So this one is the inner ones. Feel it in your body, see what you think. Oh. Last breath here, yogis. Oh. And then we're going to float ourselves forward on the inhale. We're either going to come back to down dog or to all fours, or you can throw in that vinyasa or just stay, okay? So you've got some extra love choices. Choose what's right for you. So either the full plank or the modified plank, lowering, if you choose. Otherwise, stay where you are, and we'll catch you. And then we're coming back to dog. So once we get to dog, feet to the center line, right leg goes up. Oh, give that leg a shake. And then step it forward. Bring your left leg up to meet your right leg. Come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Oh. And then we're coming all the way up. Oh. Give it a stretch. Oh. Find your mountain pose. One more time. So, now, we're going to sink down, weights in the right leg, and you just have to be a really big chair. You just want a little shelf to see if you can get your ankle up on. And again, your ankle might need to go to the shin and not the thigh. You can see if you can sink in a little deeper with the chair portion of this. Oh. And the arms might choose different positions based on how it feels, how fun it is. Take in one more breath. And then we're going to pick up this leg and step ourselves out to our star. Oh, last time here. Turning the toes a little bit in or a lot. Folding forward into wide angle forward bend. And I'm going to let this get kind of loose. But you can do similar things to what we did last time, if that sounds better to you. Oh. Oh. And then we're going to turn this into the goddess. So bringing the heels in and seeing like what's the right, right amount of thigh parallelness that's right for you today. And then we'll straighten this whole thing out. Take a big breath. Spinning into our triangle. Go in this opposite direction. Find in that triangle pose. Oh. It feels so nice. Take one more breath. And then we're going to come into our side angle. And again, we might need to adjust a little bit. I like a wider foot for this pose than triangle. And then find in that stretch. Bring in the arms Oh, through a little range of motion. And then, oh, pinky finger down and reach. Oh, because that feels good. All right, so we're gonna take this hand to the hip, maybe somewhere else, but and then we're gonna, one or two poses, jumps to get into this half moon. And again, if you like, hold onto your foot, and if that's impossible, just bring those two as close together as you can and lift. Stay light on your fingertips. Oh, it's so great. Here we go, last breath. All right, we're gonna step all the way back. Whee! This is gonna turn into our lizard lunge on this side. So the right knee is gonna come down. I'm gonna find the right spacing, put my hands over here at this diagonal, and lean in. And that is maybe plenty for me today. That was pretty good. You can come down to your elbows or down onto blocks. How spicy is it, yogis? How spicy? And how spicy do you want it? I'm gonna take 3 more breaths. Now we're gonna ease the hips back. And again, kind of adjusting the space as needed so that you've got this kind of sensation of stretch in that inner thigh area. Oh. Now, last breath. And then we're going to come to a seated position. If you feel cheated of one more vinyasa, you could do that first and then join me up here in the seated position. I'm just going to bring that knee to the ground and swing myself around so that we can finish our poses here on the floor. So I'm starting with my legs in a V. And then I'm gonna leave the left leg straight, bend the right knee. And this is where the blanket might come in handy again, or a block, or a pillow, whatever you got. As if this knee feels like it could use a little support, you can put it under that knee. If this knee feels a little vulnerable, you can put it under that knee, or you can do both. That's the beauty of the blanket. Okay, so a little bit of support wherever you need it. Now, we're gonna fold sideways over this left leg for our last sort of crescent shape. Now some people can get into here and reach all the way down for the toes, but what's important is that we're not letting the sit bone kind of leave the floor. We're going to press that guy down. So we're stretching in these 2 different directions, down and out. And I'm using this inner elbow here on my inner thigh, but if you don't get that close to your leg, put your hand on the floor or on a block. Oh. So we're sinking into the sit bone. Be kind to your low back muscles, they're sensitive. I think mine like stretching, but you have to be careful. Don't go too far, man. Take 1 more breath, and then we're gonna come all the way out. Oh. You're gonna rinse this guy a little bit. We're gonna straighten this leg back out, and then just pause. You can give your ribs some movement. A little side to side. Some of us need to lean back to make that happen because the way the pelvis is tilted. That's cool. Oh. All right, when you feel like your spine is no longer still bending in that same direction, usually for me it takes about 30 seconds, then we're gonna do the other side, okay? So right leg is straight, left leg is bent. And then I'm gonna give myself this long stretch over to my right. And again, work the sit bone down here and stretch out through the side. So you're doing both, we're stretching in 2 directions at once. We don't have to go extreme into shapes, right? If we engage the muscle well. And so even if you're hypermobile, this engagement of the muscle, really pressing down into the sit bone, broadening and lengthening through the side of the waist, is nice. And if you're not hypermobile, it feels good too. Like it's great for all of us. How's that? 2 more big breaths. Okay, last one. And then we're gonna come on out of there. Give it a moment. Oh, We're taking the legs back out to the V. You can kind of close it up a little bit if it's helpful and give everything a little wobble. Oh. All right, yogis, we're going to try to fold down the center. Now, this isn't really easy for everybody. And again, some of us have situations in our body that, you know, like the way the bones are shaped, basically, that make your pelvis want to go backwards instead of forwards. So for you, either bending at the knee or sitting up higher will help. And then you can see if you can get your sit bones to kind of rock out from underneath you a little bit and see if you can bring the pelvis forward at all. Now, some people can go so far forward that they face plant, like whole torso lands on the floor. And then there's those of us that are going backwards, right? So there's a whole spectrum of space in between. Just occupy whatever space is available to you. Now, turn your legs on a little bit. Roll the inner thigh down so the toes point straight up. And then if you want to reach out and grab those big toes if they're available, or reach out and grab your calf muscles, you can do that. And then see if you can lift through the heart and just get a little longer through your spine. It might not be much, but even a tiny bit. Remember that aha, that ah. Just a tiny bit of length is all we're looking for. A lot of the mantras end on ah, right? There's namaha, swaha. Lots of mantras end on that ha sound. And so we're trying to create that ha feeling in the body doing our yoga pose. So the body becomes a mantra in many ways. And this is just a trick of the mind, but it's a way of rooting our mind in the current moment. It's cool. Take a big breath. And then we're going to release everything, come all the way up. Lean back, bend your knees. Give yourself a little rinse. And as I suggested at the beginning, we are going to do a passive twist here. So we're going to come back down onto our back. Now, I am going to use, actually, I think I'm going to swap out for this pillow because I want this to be super, super relaxed. So if you've got like a little throw pillow or something like that and you want to try to grab that, you can. So we're going to get onto our backs. First hydration. And then back. Oh. And once you're on your back, come back home to this little this little back massage. Oh. Now, I'm going to leave my legs loose, but if you want to wrap yours back around, you can put that left leg up on top. We're going to drop the legs over to the right. This is what I kind of mean. So if you give yourself a little pillow, this can be a little bit softer, right? Just a little bit more relaxed. So I could let my top leg kind of drape over that shape, and then the shoulders are nice and relaxed. And I'm going to kind of do this cactus shape with my arms. Oh. And just for about 5 breaths, it's almost like we're we're sighing into this shape. Just releasing down. So the new moon tonight, new moon, which means that the sky will be really dark, and it's a great night to see the stars if the clouds clear out. And then it's also anytime, I love metaphors, and so anytime there's a new moon, or the new year, or anything, a new calendar page, whatever it is, you can choose to use that as kind of a way to stimulate yourself into thinking, what am I ready to let go of? And what am I going to try to bring into my life in this next cycle? And for moons, it's cool because it's just a month long, right? So it's a nice cycle. You can work on tiny little goals, little projects. And you can let go of the ones that still are waiting for you to get to them, if you like. So we're going to take a nice big breath. Bring that top leg back. Ooh, exhale as you bring the other leg back. And then we're going to pause and give ourselves a little back massage. Oh. All right, so we're going to take this legs over to the opposite side. And again, I'm going to kind of put this pillow in here. I'm going to bring my legs over to the left, let them kind of find a really easy kind of space, just laying on top of one another. Get my upper back nice and level, and then just put my arms out in this cactus shape and relax. Try to feel that namaha. sounds show up over and over and over again. And really it's just because those are the sounds that we make, right? Those are the sounds we make when we're letting go into the moment. Letting go of the kind of like manipulative mind control that we try to do and just be present for what the mind is. Present for where our body is right this minute. We're going to take a couple more big breaths, yogis. I'm going to inhale, bring the knee back, exhale, whew, everything comes back, and this is where we're going to sink into a Shavasana, y'all. So, you can give yourself one more little back massage, one more little windshield wiper legs. I've slid that pillow underneath my legs so that my hips really relax here. And then I'm going to take the end of my mat here and just cut a little bit of support on the very back of my skull, just to create the tiniest little structural support for those little ridges on the back of my skull. Oh, it just makes my nervous system go into the moment. Yogis, if your mind traveled out into the primordial seas, come on back to the present reality of your body. And again, notice the sensation here of your body laying on the floor. As you take a really deep breath, feel that breath go through you. And then out. And then we can stretch the arms and legs out, take another big breath. Oh, and exhale out, do little circles with the wrists and the ankles and the fingers, the toes. Oh, and then you can bring yourself together. Give yourself one more little hug and a back massage. I'm going to roll to my side here because I find this a much more pleasant way to get out of yoga. Yoga asana practice. I like to ease my way out. And then you press yourself up when you're ready. Oh. Thank you so much for joining me for a little Friday morning vinyasa. Oh, let's take a big old breath together, yogis. And we're going to let that big aha come out with a big sigh. Big inhale. Big ah. Namaste, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for practicing with me today.